In particular, I would like to share with you our activities together with patients. Let me first introduce the EURPRO project, a patient-centric collaboration to develop platform trials designed for and by patients. The collaboration encompasses 4 disease areas, with neurofibromatosis as a rare and chronic condition with varying morbidity. In this project, we performed multiple studies to gain patient input on the trial protocol. But first, an introduction on neurofibromatosis, including NF1, NF2 and schwannomatosis. NF1 affects approximately 1 in 3,000 newborns, and NF2 and schwannomatosis being more rare. But they are all hereditary disorders and have symptoms in the skin and the nervous system. Examples are caveolé spots and freckling on the skin, and benign tumors that develop in the nerves. However, patients are also at risk for tumors in general, either benign or malignant. And some other organs may be involved, like the bones in NF1. Let me now explain the concept of platform trials, and therefore I start with describing the traditional trial. So in a traditional trial, one eligible patient group selected from the broad patient population is studied, and one drug is tested. The outcome is either a success or failure compared to regular treatment, whereafter the trial stops. A platform trial is in fact a combination of more trials in one trial. So instead of one drug to be tested, there are more drugs available, and patients are randomized to one or the other drug, the so-called trial arm. Outcomes of the different arms are compared to each other. Outcome may either result in success, what means the patient continues treatment. But in case of failure, either due to no effect or due to side effects, the patient stops with the particular drug and is put back again in the eligible patient group. For those, this means that they may be randomized another drug, either directly or after a certain waiting period. Also, new drugs may be added to the basket whenever they become available to be tested. The benefit of this design is that we compare patients with different treatments, so more efficient. Next, if failure, they may benefit to another drug. And also, the group of patients can be more diverse, as more different treatments are in the trial. And finally, when patients have to wait longer for a specific drug, they may contribute with information on their disease course to the so-called natural history study. This means, how does the disease evolve in absence of treatment? So in summary, the benefit of platform trials is a more efficient use of patients. We obtain data on the disease course in the same time. And for NF specifically, this means that patients with variable disease activities can be included, or even patients moving from one treatment indication to another manifestation. So, for example, you first are allocated for a trial for growing plexiform neurofibromas, but if the growth stops and you develop an OPG, you may be eligible for the trial arm of OPG. So in summary, these slides present what we delivered in the EURPRO project. We made a priority of NF tumors to be addressed by trials. We developed a master protocol for the platform trial and the natural disease study, and the proposal was reviewed by regulatory and ethical bodies. We also identified potential clinical centers in Europe as a network to be included patients in the trial. Leftovers are further operationalization of the trial, and we are working with a sponsor to further work this out. And additionally, we need the pharmaceutical companies to be interested and to invest in the running the trials. So far, the EU-Pearl general information. I would like now to present to you the studies gaining patient input as we have performed along the EU-Pearl project. And in different studies, we applied different methods. Online surveys to patients evaluated by a Delphi method, face-to-face meetings with patients reviewing the protocol, and combined meetings with patients and trial experts. I would like to discuss the benefits and limitation of each method and to present which method is useful and when. In the online survey method, the aim was to gain patient input on what manifestations to be included in the trial. We sent out an online survey to patients through the patient organizations and asked to score the manifestations on several aspects and to rank them on importance. Benefits are that we obtained clear data and we could access large number of participants from all European countries. And the surveys are relatively easy to complete. However, we only could ask on predefined topics that were included in the survey, and we did not obtain reasoning of the choices of the patients. And we only performed the survey in English. And this paper nicely described the outcome of this particular study, and we concluded that for NF1, plexiform neurofibromas, cutaneous neurofibromas, OPG and LGG should be selected for trials, and for NF1 and schwannomatosis tumor manifestations, and for schwannomatosis in particular tumor-associated pain. Review of the protocol was obtained in a face-to-face meeting with patients and parent advice meetings. We did it online by Zoom with patients from different countries, so we had 3 meetings in 3 languages, French, Spanish and English. The benefit was an open discussion with broad input from the patients and their different backgrounds. And we had discussions on topics that we did not expect before. Limitations are that in such meetings we are limited to the topics in the scope of patients. And we needed multiple meetings to cover the difference in languages. And of course it takes quite a lot of time. So we had evening or afternoon sessions of 2 hours each. In addition to the previous method, we also had 1 meeting with experts and patients combined. This meeting benefited from synergy between patients and experts, and we obtained input for both methodology and more patient-related topics. A limitation may be that one of the groups may feel less addressed and felt overwhelmed by the other. Let's more graphically summarize the aspects of these methods on the disease aspects, the concept of interest, the outcome, and the endpoint definition. So both patient advice meetings and in a little less way online surveys contributed to identifying the health aspects. The same applies to the concept of interest. What elements could be measured? For outcomes to be measured, all approaches contribute, but in particular the combined meeting with patients and experts allows to discuss and interact on preferred outcomes for both a scientific and a patient-oriented perspective. And in our experience, the definition of meaningful endpoints was in particular covered by the combined meeting due to the interaction between scientists and patients. And in this paper, we discussed the different approaches and came with recommendations for the most effective advice meeting type. And we concluded that synergy between experts and patients or caregivers balances the input on the scientific feasibility and the acceptability of the protocol. So in summary, we laid the basis for platform trial protocols for neurofibromatosis, but need further interaction with sponsor and pharma. We also gained expertise in different methodologies for obtaining patients' input and draw a blueprint approach considering benefits, limitations and timing. So I hope with this presentation I have updated you on where the EOPRO project can lead to as a first step in multi-center, multinational trials together with patients. And thanks for your attendance and also to all the collaborators in the project.